Okay, I don't show this part of my parents' basement very often, but this is actually our ongoing donation pile here, which feels so good. I'm hoping to get it loaded up and moved out. But today, 2 words that can help you fly through decluttering your home. And these 2 words are I decide. And I don't think we realize that when we don't decide, we let clutter decide for us. It decides your time, your energy, your mood. I don't even think we realize it, how you feel in your house. But when you start to decide, your house is going to feel completely different. So today we're going to talk about how can we use these 2 words in different areas of our home. I have some other cool stuff to share with you too, but let's head out of here and back over there. It's actually just easiest to walk outside back to my office. Okay, here's what we're going to cover today. How you can use these 2 words to overcome guilt and shame and all the gross feelings that come into decluttering our house. I'm going to share a clip from Dr. John Deloney that I think is so powerful when it comes to not outsourcing our decisions anymore. I also have a big area where I did decide and it was a risk, but I think it's actually paying off. So I'm going to share that with you too. All right, here we go. Hello, it's so good to see you today. I think these 2 words are so powerful, and unless we stop and think about it, I don't think we've realized how much we have let our stuff boss us around. Well, you paid money for that. Other people, well, you should keep that. It is just expected that you would keep that, right? Just trying to keep other people happy and all of it's actually a very complex situation decluttering our house. And I think you've probably run into that. And sometimes we get really frustrated with ourselves because we're like, it shouldn't be this hard. Like, why haven't I achieved my goals? Why am I still here? Why is it now? I mean, we're almost to November of 2025. How have I gotten here and my house still isn't decluttered? And I think if we have spent any amount of time together, I do believe that you really have a value for a simplified home. I do believe that you believe that your home would be better, you would feel better, your family members would feel better in your house if it were highly decluttered and simplified. And so I think many of us, we've kind of made that mindset shift like, yeah, no, I think you're right. I think I'm realizing how much stress all of this stuff around me is causing. But yet we get hung up. It's like, we'll spend some time there like, yes, I got it. Go. Okay, now I'm going to go declutter. Wait, why is it so hard? Why am I still hung up on these decisions? And I think it really is because we haven't given ourselves the permission and the power to make these decisions for ourselves and what we know would be best right now because we have all of these other things playing in the background. You should keep this. You spent money on it. You should keep it. And so that's what I want to talk about today, this idea of how if we decide and we get to decide how this can actually help you to go through your house much quicker. And we'll kind of talk about like some specific areas of your home and like what this actually looks like. And so I think first off, it is helpful to I don't know, give ourselves permission to say that we actually are the ones that get to decide when it comes to our own home. Now, we have other people that live with us likely, or if you have a partner or a spouse, there are considerations with that when it is stuff that you guys need to decide together. But there's a lot of stuff that we can actually decide for ourselves that maybe we haven't realized. And so understanding that I can decide if I keep it or if I let it go. I can decide where it lives. Maybe I don't want it living on my bedroom floor or in the living space if that doesn't feel good anymore. I can decide how many is enough. Like, how many spatulas do I want to have? How many do I need? And I can decide what gets prime real estate, what gets to live on my kitchen counters, what doesn't. And so we get to decide this for ourselves. And I think what's been really helpful for me more recently, I don't know, I'd be curious if this resonates with you too. When I was growing up, when I would look at the homes that either we lived in or that we would visit, when I think back to my childhood, those homes stayed very static. The stuff in them really stayed the same. My grandma's house, we would go there almost daily, especially in the summer. My grandparents lived close on my dad's side, and their farm was like 2 miles from our farm, and we just like went back and forth all summer long. And when I would think about going into my grandma's house, Everything was the same. The furniture was the same, the decor was the same, the food she had day in and day out was the same. There was, like, this little candy dish on top of her, TV entertainment center, and it would have, like, the ribbon candy in it that she would get from Fleet Farm. I don't think there's Fleet Farms everywhere around, but, get the bulk candy, and then she would put that candy in there. I think she did it because it wasn't actually that good. If she put really good candy in it, it would get eaten up really quickly, but it didn't. And then sometimes, especially in the summer when it's humid, it would all get, like, one chunk together, it would all stick together, right? But it was very much the same. And even when I think about our own house growing up too, there were some changes, but really, like throughout most of our childhood, it stayed the same. And I think many of us now have adopted this perception, like that's just kind of what houses do. And we keep accumulating and gathering stuff, and then like that's just is what it is. But I think a huge mindset shift that I have made is that what if we did allow the inventory in our home to flex with the seasons? And there's two ways that I think that it can flex. One is in the amount of inventory that we manage. And I talk a lot about how when we go through a hard season, we can't manage very much inventory at all, at least not stay on top of it, not do it well. So, what if we allow the amount of inventory, like when we're a really hard season, like my closet is me super pared down. My kitchen, super pared it down. I need it to be so easy to take care of. So what if that way we let the inventory flex with the season that we're in? But then the other way too is only having stuff in our home that we're using now and is serving us. It's serving our current season of life. So I'm not having stuff from past hobbies and past interests, and even with our kids, from toys from when they were little, clothes that used to fit 20 pounds ago, clothes that were when I used to go to the office, and the toys the kids used to play with, but now they've long grown out of. And we say, oh, that stuff is not serving me, it's not helping me in my current season. So I can just let it go. I don't have to try and store it for someday, or what if we have grandkids, or what if I lose the weight, or what if I go back to work. I can trust that if I let that inventory go now, that I will be able to get it again if I need to in the future. And I think it's kind of a luxury of the time we live in right now that we can do that. I look back to my grandparents, and early on, they couldn't just let stuff go and be like, "Oh, I'll get the nice dressy clothes again if I have to go back to work again," right? They it they wouldn't have had the means. It wasn't as easy. Like now we can go on marketplace, we can go to a secondhand store. We could even just ask our friends and probably come up with all the extra stuff that we need, right? And it's been so cool to me. Like now, I've been a minimalist for 10 years. This is how I've lived. I let the inventory, just match my season of life. I let stuff go from past seasons that is no longer serving me. And here I am 10 years later to say, like, I've never gotten into a position where I didn't have the things that I need. And that is a huge mindset shift. And Fumio Sasaki talks about this idea that we don't have to cling to stuff so tightly, that we can like be open handed with it and trust that the things like I wish I had his quote handy. It's something to the effect that like the things we need actually find us, and they can come into our life at the right time. But the problem is most of us have not lived like that at all, right? I have a need, I go on Amazon, I meet the need, or. And so we've never had to practice this or experience it. So I do understand, based on our upbringing for a lot of us and all this, how we're just like, no, but what if, oh, just in case, because we've never really lived like this, where we're like, oh, what if I just do an experiment and I see if the things I need find me when I need them. And so that is 1000% been my experience. Again, over 10 years, getting rid of 85% of my stuff. I have never been in a pinch or oh no, I got rid of that and now there's no way for me to get it back, most often I don't ever need it again. Or if I was like, oh, I could have used that extra crock pot, I just find something else to use instead. Or I borrow one from someone else. And we get so close minded around our stuff. And I get it. I understand how it works because with this upbringing, a lot of us were also raised to be very frugal, not to be wasteful. We even see it as being like, responsible with our stuff. Like, I'm not going to just carelessly now go through my house and get rid of everything I'm not using. Like, that seems wasteful. So, this is a huge, huge mindset shift that we are making. But again, when you start to give yourself this kind of permission, it is magical what happens when you don't have to manage all of this stuff anymore. You don't have to use your precious time and energy. Again, is anyone else looking around and like, OMG, tomorrow is Halloween. It is the end of October. It is almost November. We just came through our 5 days to an organized Christmas. I'm gonna share a couple of clips from that were so good. I'm excited to share with you. Um, like Christmas, Maggie was already just saying like 56 days till Christmas, right? And my mom is just like, ugh, ugh. I don't even want to think about Christmas. I'm like, Mom, you're you're living with the minimal mom. I have Christmas under control. Stop it. Like that is an old tape. We're not playing that tape anymore. There's no reason for any woman to be dreading Christmas this year. We've got it. But I get it. How, everything that has transpired so far to get to where we are right now, no one has been telling you, you get to decide and you don't have to keep all of this stuff for someday, right? This is very new messaging and it does take a lot to get our head around. But like I said, I think if we've been spending some time together, I do believe your mindset is shifting around this. I believe you have decluttered some areas and you're like, oh, yeah, that does feel good, right? So I think the mindset piece is coming together. And now it's this practical side of it of like when you actually get into decluttering and you hold something up that you spent money on, it's still brand new in the package, and you're like, for real, Dawn? I'm just going to put this in a donation box? Like, that feels so wrong. It doesn't, that's wasteful. That's silly. What if I need it someday? So I know all of these things that come through. And that's where I do want to give you permission to say, what if you get to decide? What if you get to decide what you keep, what you let go, how much inventory you want to manage in this season of life? You actually get to decide that. No one else has to live in your house in your life right now, right? And you get to decide that. And deciding that for myself was one of the best decisions truly that I have ever made. And I'm going to share a clip coming up where I interviewed the kids because about 10 years ago, I decided that I wanted to make Christmas very simple, and it was a risk. And so why don't we decide? Because it's a risk. And if I decide and it's all on me, I'm taking on the full brunt of that risk, right? And so we do this and we practice it and then we gain confidence. So I understand again why we don't always want to take on that responsibility to decide. It's sometimes easier to say like, "Oh, well, my mom expects me to keep that or the kids expect me to keep that. So there, I'm keeping it," right? Like it's kind of a cop out, right? Because when we decide, we take on the risk. But man, we also get to enjoy the reward then when it does pan out. So I'm excited to share that with you. Um, but I actually want to share a clip from John Deloney real quick. Again, I did share this in the 5 Days to an Organized Christmas. So if you joined us for that, you maybe saw it. But I think it's probably something we could hear every single day, especially as we head into the holidays. And so I want to play this because I think it's going to give us some more common language around this that we can all use together. What if there are holiday get-togethers I am not looking forward to because there are toxic people there? Do we call them toxic people? I don't know. But there are people, they're going to get in our business. They're going to ask us, why do you homeschool? Why do you do this? Why, and you feel like you have to justify every value decision you've made over the past year. Yeah. So how do we deal with that?
One of the most freeing moments of my life was a conversation. It's a long backstory, but I was in one of my counseling classes, and I was using my counseling classes also as a moment to heal myself too, because I had gone through it. And long story short, I had a back and forth with a person who'd been a therapist forever, who was also going back to grad school. And we were talking about how much it would stink if a client said, "You're terrible and you're no good at this." And she said magic words. She said, "John, they don't get that." And I was like, "Oh, is that when you dumb counseling things?" And she said, "No, here's the magic words. You get to decide who hurts your feelings." Wow. Your boss can take away your livelihood. Somebody can kill you. They can take away your life. They can take away your home. They can do all these things. But you get to decide who hurts you. Wow. And I was like, that's so stupid. I rode my bike home in the hot Texas wind. It's like riding a bike in a blow dryer. And I was trying to think of, okay, who have I given permission to? And I realized I had given everyone in my life. I'd given my students, their parents. They would call and say, "You suck at your job." And oh gosh, I'm not. You don't get to decide that. And then I'd given it to my kids. My son was 2. I'd given my, wow, my permission to hurt my feelings to a 2-year-old. You don't get that, right? And so it's when I started calling that out. Now, the magic phrase for me is you don't get a vote. Yeah. You don't get a vote. And so I'm going to go to a party. I get to choose whether I go to the party or not. And I get to say, I'm not going.
What if it's my mother-in-law?
That sounds fantastic. I'm not going to be able to make it this year. Yeah. You know what I mean? We sent an email out. We always host Christmas at our house in Nashville. Our family flies in from all over. And I sent an email out in September and said, I'm not going to be a good host this year, so we're taking a year off. The responses from my family was like, oh, thank God, it's so good, we're so grateful, right? It was just somebody said something, right?
Yeah.
And then we said, here's when we're going to be able to meet, and we're going to come to you, and we're going to stay for this long, and we're backing up. It was just me putting boundaries on the table. And if they don't like it, they're allowed to do that because they're grown-ups. I'm not responsible for their response to my boundaries.
Yeah. This must take a little practice, though.
That's the magic word, it's practice. So the line I love, and it didn't originate with me, but choose guilt over resentment every time. Choose guilt over resentment. If you show up to a party you don't want to be at, and you engage in conversations with combative people you don't want to be having, and you leave feeling less than, you're going to hate that person, you're going to hate the environment, you're going to hate the holidays, you're going to get mad at your kids, you're going to snap at your spouse. And all of that is because you made choices. Choose guilt. I'm not going to go. I'm not going to be able to make it this time. You're going to feel guilty. Feel it. Feel it. Guilt's fine. But you're not going to resent people. And resent is when relationships end up in ash. And so I'm not in the business of resenting anymore. Like, dude, I'm not going to be able to make your party. Thank you for the invite. I love it. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
And that's all. That's all I owe you.
That's what you get.
And yes, practice, 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 practice.
Okay.
But feel the guilt. The first time you say no, hang up and go, feel it. Let it wash all over you.
Yeah.
And then you can say, yeah, that's what's up. You know what I mean? You can just like own it. You just own it.
And next year I'm not even going to feel guilty.
No. Eventually you don't. Eventually you don't. Guilt shows up in other places because it's awesome. But I'm just not gonna. I'm not gonna own your picture for this party that included me at the table. I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
But I get to decide whether I come to that table. And if you do go.
Yeah.
If you choose to go, have a good attitude. Turn it into a sport.
Yeah. So do you have any tips? Like, okay, I'm choosing to go to this get together. I know there's one person in particular that's, maybe gonna just ask questions that I don't want to answer. Do you have any tactics for?
This is me, and I am a 6'2", 195-pound male. So I get that there's a difference. I get it. My wife reminds me all the time. She's like, must be nice. So I get that. But if there's that one person, that's the first person I go talk to at a party. I'm getting that out of the way. My experience has been that person gravitates like a dementor towards anxious people. Just moves that way. So I'm going directly to them. Hey, what's up? I haven't seen you in a while. How are you? Still homeschooling your kids? Yeah, it's fantastic. Are you still sending your kids to whatever? Man, how's that? I'm going straight into it. We're going to end that conversation, and then your whole bodies. So I'm not gonna avoid. I'm going straight to mother-in-law, straight to my mother-in-law's awesome, but I'm going straight to mother-in-law, straight to weird cousin. I'm going right to them.
Yeah.
We're gonna get this out of the way, and then I'm gonna enjoy this party.
Yeah, that's good.
Because that interaction's gonna happen.
Right.
So I'm gonna have it happen on my terms.
And usually with people that, if you then work to turn it back to them, but how,
Yeah, tell me about your life.
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask you 5 questions.
Right.
Not in a combative way, but talk about yourself, and then we're moving on.
Yep. And then I'm gonna excuse myself to use the restroom.
Yes. a lot, right?
Isn't that so good? And so where have we outsourced, right, to other people, to our stuff? And I just love that idea, too, of choosing guilt over resentment. It doesn't mean we get off scotch-free, right? Like, there's still some things we have to work through. And I'm glad, too, like, this question, my husband is bothered when I donate because he knows how hard he worked to provide those things, but less helps our home and then we buy less. And I think we have to be really careful here too, because we can start to feel resentful towards the stuff in our house, right? But also towards the people if we feel like, oh, well, they're keeping me from reaching my decluttering goals. And so I'm really glad that you asked that, because I think this is where we really have to have conversations with them, and for them to understand, why am I doing what I'm doing? And to say like, hey, I get it. Like, I totally understand. However, I believe if we get our house simplified, we're not going to replace this stuff. We're not going to be buying nearly as much. Everything I've learned about living this way and what I've already experienced so far, my consumer habits change. And so it could be a very valid fear that he's having. And so I do think it's important to acknowledge it and to continue to have conversations about it so that he understands why you're doing what you're doing, but how in the long run you think you're going to benefit from it. But then also along those same lines too, how do you explain that to people who can't understand the benefits and think you're being wasteful? And so again, we kind of just talked about like spouse, but also, you're going to run into people in your peripheral that are going to want to vote on it too, right? And that's what I love about what Dr. John says is like, they don't get a vote. They don't live in my house. They don't have to run my house. They don't have to take care of my kids and everything that goes into running our household. And so I'm so grateful that there's people around me who care about me and want the best for me. And also, they don't get a vote on it, right? Husband, spouse, partners, yes, they get a vote for sure. They're in the same household. And so them I want to bring along for the journey. If you have, well-meaning friends and family that you're really close with and you want to take them along on the journey too and explain to them, awesome. And then there's also this point though, like if you feel like you're explaining it to people and they're not getting it, they're being combative, they're like, yeah, but this and that. There is a point where we have to understand anytime we're explaining anything, any value choice that we've made, if people don't want to understand, there's nothing you can say to get them to understand. And often as women, we're like, oh, I must not have explained it right. What was that phrase Dawn uses? What does she say that she says to family members? If they don't want to understand, there is nothing that you can say. Now, on the other hand, if they're like, oh, that sounds interesting, tell me more. Or how do you handle this thing? Or how do you handle gifts at Christmas? What conversations do you have with your kids? I will talk with you all day long about it, right? But if it's just like, well, yeah, but what about this? Or yeah, but your Aunt Susan gave that to you and don't you think you should keep it? No, that right there is like a red flag of like, oh, they don't actually want to understand. They just want to be right now. They want to push their agenda, their beliefs onto me. That's fine. They can do that. I don't have to participate. I don't have to give them a vote in what it is that I'm doing. And so again, there's, like, yeah, there's some stuff that goes into this, but I don't want us to not do it because we're worried about what other people are going to think. We're worried that, oh, but what if I make a mistake? Again, could we feel a touch guilty over getting rid of something and then finding like, oh, shoot, yeah, I could have used that? Yes. But what I hear from so many women, those whose kids are out of the house now, they say, man, I wish I would have found this when my kids were still in the house. I wish I would have done this then. I hear from so many women who have, they're caring for aging parents or maybe a spouse or an adult child who can no longer care for themselves or has extra needs and are like, oh my goodness, I'm so glad we simplified our house. I have nursing care coming in. I have PT. I have these other people coming into our home. I would have been horrified in the past if they would have come in. Or I don't have the time and energy to care for my house like I used to. There's no way I could have stayed on top of it. And I'm so glad that I decluttered. And so, yes, could there be these little pieces of guilt of like, oh, shoot, I got rid of that and I could have used it? Yes. But look at the bigger thing that we're giving up if we will let those little guilt things override our belief in ourselves and our trust in ourselves that what we're doing is going to pay dividends and that it is going to be something and benefits that we're going to enjoy for the rest of our life and that the rest of our family is going to enjoy as well. So I get it when we bump up to these things like, oh, my husband, says this or whatnot. But I think that many of these are worth pushing through and figuring out a way around because the benefits are so good. Question. I am respecting that my older teen daughters have taken on my scarcity mindset. They want to declutter but are overwhelmed, just like I am. How can I best help them? So again, I think it's having conversations about this, saying like, hey, I get it. Like I never wanted to get rid of clothes because I thought like, oh, what if this happens? And picking areas to declutter that aren't like so scary, like I've talked before, like maybe starting with linens or, the serving dishes that you just like never use. Because if all hell breaks loose in the world, we're not going to be like, oh, darn, I wish I had those serving dishes, right? So, are there any categories of things that feel just a little less intimidating? Because what that does is it helps you to build up your decluttering muscles or to gain more confidence in yourself that you can make these decisions and you're not going to miss that stuff. I also really like having rules around it. So, if I haven't used it in a year, then, we've gone through all 4 seasons. That's pretty safe data to work with. But mostly we got to let ourselves off the hook. Every step of the way, we are making the best decision that we can with the information that we have right now. I can't predict the future. And in a different interview I shared with Dr. John Deloney, he said, what is anxiety? Trying to predict the future, right? And I'm like, John, that's what decluttering is. Like, oh my goodness, am I going to need this snowman mug in the future, right? Like that is anxiety inducing when we're trying to be like, but what if? How can I know for sure? We can't know for sure. And when we let ourselves off the hook and say, I'm just deciding now with the information that I have, we talk about data a lot, right? With the data I have right now, this is a decision I'm making. I'm letting this go. And if next Christmas I'm like, oh, I got invited to a snowman mug party, I could have used the snowman mug. I say like, yeah, I just didn't know. Like I couldn't predict. I don't have a crystal ball. I couldn't predict the future, right? And this is why we have to stick together. Though this is why we like continue to spend time together and practice this together and talk about it together, because we have to be reminded of these things. Because left to our own devices, again, with all the wiring that's been programmed in up until this point, it's keep it, don't let it go. You never know what's just around the corner, right? But the problem is that it's not serving us, and the inventory has crept up so much in our houses right now, and we know we can't live like this anymore. So we get to decide. So again, what does that look like? I love this. If future me won't thank me for storing it, I decide it goes. If future me won't thank me and be like, oh, I'm so glad that you kept that, then there's no point in storing it, right? Also, that the goal isn't to be perfect. The goal is decided, that we're never going to be perfect at all of these decisions. Again, we're just trying to make a decision and move on, and not let all these worst case scenarios run through our house. Also, I love this. Like, if you wouldn't pay to ship it to Italy, I won't pay to store it here, right? Sometimes just having silly things like that too. I've heard on, oh gosh, this gal on Instagram, and she's like, if dog poop got on it, would you take the time to clean it? And I'm like, ew, gross. Like, please don't say that. Like, that's disgusting. But again, it's one of those rules. Like, okay, if dog poop got on it, would you take the time? No, I'd probably throw it in the garbage, right? And so also can be helpful. If it got wet, would you take the time to dry it? And again, if you're coming across things and you're like, yes, absolutely. Okay, then let's put that thing somewhere safe and in a place of honor, like, okay, then how can I keep that thing safe? Again, that's going to feel really good to my brain. Knowing it's unsafe floating around in boxes in my basement is also anxiety inducing, right? So what can I do then to keep those select things safe? Now, but again, why don't we decide? Because we take the risk, right? If we're the one taking the responsibility for that decision, the risk is on us. And again, we could look pretty silly if we get rid of something that we don't need. And so I do want to share one more clip. It was an interview that I did with the kids, because like I said, about 10 years ago, I was just looking at what I had been learning about minimalism, what I had been learning about child development, what I had experienced in my own childhood around Christmas and gifts and all of this. And collectively, when I pulled all of that together, that's what I like. I'm like, what does the research say? What have my own experience been? What have other women said their experience has been? And that's how I really like to like make decisions on things, right? And so I kind of looked at it all, and I'm like, I don't think we need so many gifts for our kids at Christmas. And so we had pared down where Tom and I would give the kids one gift each. We were not on the same page with this, by the way, in the beginning. Like, this took some work on my part for us to get there, right? So we gave the kids each one gift, and then they would get 3 here at my parents' house when we would celebrate Christmas together. And so 4 gifts total. That's not nothing. Please don't get me wrong. But I mean, the dollar amount per child was probably $100-ish or less. And so that's what we had scaled Christmas back to. And it had actually, with everything we've gone through recently, it had actually been a little bit since I had asked them about Christmas, checked in with them, and, how is that going? And so I want to share this video quick of just a week ago when I asked them about it. I was blown away by their responses to some of these questions. Whoops, wrong one. All right, I'm trying to get the kids back. There we go. To the table. We're just testing out a new game. Gage just got it for his birthday, called Cover Your Assets. We also have the Cows in Space game. I'd mentioned this in my gift guide. We didn't realize it's actually for like little kids. I didn't look closely enough. So maybe we should try it with your cousins, Corbin. Would that be fun, maybe? Yeah. So I don't know if we're probably not gonna, you're not really excited about this one, are you? Okay, we might not test this one out tonight then. All right, Corbin, how old are you now?
12.
12. What do you want for Christmas?
Nothing.
What? Nothing? Really? Okay. If you could pick one thing, what would it be?
A Lego set.
Yeah? Do you have a specific one in mind?
A Lego crane.
Oh, that sounds cool. Okay. Can you remember like what your favorite Christmas gift ever was?
Probably the Lego motorcycle I got last year
Okay.
for Christmas.
That's awesome. When you think about Christmas, what do you look forward to?
Riding snowmobiles around.
Oh, yeah.
And like the apple cider and hanging out with family.
Yeah. Do you like when we play minute to win it games?
Yeah.
Yeah, those are fun. Adeline's disclaimer is that she's not feeling great right now, right? Yeah. So I still think you look super cute, but it's okay. All right. Adeline is almost 16. You said you don't know what you want for Christmas. Have you noticed that the things that teenage girls want or use or acquiring these days are
Really expensive.
really expensive? Do you and your friends expect like your parents and grandparents to like go all out on Christmas buying expensive stuff?
No.
No?
Because honestly, there's so many like dupes for things that are just as good, and it's just influencers that make you think you need the name brand stuff.
Yeah. You guys have actually got less gifts at Christmas probably than most of your like friends or cousins. Have you ever like really noticed that or been aware of it or felt like you didn't get enough at Christmas?
No.
I've never noticed that.
Really?
I thought we got more presents than other people.
Okay. That's interesting.
That's
That's
what
good
I
to know.
said too, actually.
Yeah, you had said that before too. So you've never felt like, oh, we didn't get enough presents at Christmas?
No.
What's your guys' favorite things to do at Christmas, or what do you look forward to about the holidays?
The games.
Yeah, playing games. So Gage is our game master, right? You like trying new games and playing games. Yeah, Adeline, what do you look forward to at Christmas?
I really like all the decorating, like putting up the tree and stuff, and then like just like all the food and like coming together and like celebrating here.
Yeah. And Corbin already said his favorite. Adeline, we had talked a little bit about like setting expectations. Do you think it's good for parents to give like a dollar amount or a number of gifts, or to give like how could they set expectations with their teens about what they're going to get for Christmas?
I think a dollar amount is good because then they know exactly what they can ask for, like based on what it costs. When it's just like a set amount of gifts, then they could ask for a bunch of really expensive things.
Yeah.
And then you can choose if you want one more expensive thing or a few cheaper things.
Yeah. And do you mind, I know like last Christmas you had pretty much given ideas for pretty much everything you got. Did you mind kind of knowing ahead of time?
No, because I know I'm gonna like it.
That's awesome. Do you have any idea, Adeline, like in the 5 love languages, where gifts fall? I know your top ones I think are quality time and words of affirmation.
Yeah.
Do you know where gifts falls?
I mean, I like giving gifts more than I like getting
Yeah.
gifts.
Yeah. You get really thoughtful gifts and like packaging them really pretty and
I
stuff.
like making them cute.
Yeah. But as far as getting gifts, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like experiences more.
Yeah, okay. You know, Corbin, I think one of your top love languages is gifts, because we even just went this afternoon to get a gift for a friend. So, like, when someone gives you a gift, is it more like that it was thoughtful or knowing they thought of you, or like how big and fancy it is? What makes a gift special to you?
Knowing that the second one.
Yeah, just knowing someone thought of you, and yeah. And you like giving gifts too, don't you?
Yeah, I love giving gifts.
Yeah. Gage, you like getting gifts. Yeah. Do you like giving gifts?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. All right, well, thank you guys. I appreciate it, and hopefully this will be helpful for the friends in our group too.
Merry Christmas.
I was blown away when I said, like, well, have you ever felt like, your friends, your cousins get more gifts than you? I know they do, right? At least some of them. And they're like, what? No, I thought we got more gifts than other people. So this was part of our 5 days to an organized Christmas workshop. So it's all, it's totally free. The 100-page planner is free too. So if you want to go back and watch it, we talk a lot about scaling back gifts, but for this very reason, I mentioned the 5 love languages, and we kind of go in depth in this in the workshops. I'm not going to go in depth of it now, but I think so often, especially when it comes around the holidays, that so much of the emphasis is on gifts. And for those of us who our top love languages aren't giving and receiving gifts, we can really feel kind of overlooked. My love languages are quality time and words of affirmation. And so the celebrations, like Adeline was talking about, and even Corbin too, like the get-togethers, engage, the playing the games, those are my favorite parts too. And so we share again in the workshop, like, minute to win it game ideas, other ideas for kind of making adding in, if we're going to scale back gifts, then adding in more meaning those ways. But it was just, I don't know, it was really cool to interview the kids and hear all that. I over the years I've touched base and felt like, okay, we're on the right track. I've decided this for our kids and our family. I still think we're on the right track. But now that they're a little older and to hear this and the things they enjoyed about it, it was really good to hear, right? So again, I understand why we don't always want to make these decisions, because the risk does fall on us. But it's also fun, when we get to enjoy the reward of it too. So no good things come without some risk involved. And I think many of us have been way too risk adverse up until this point, especially when it comes to decluttering our home. And so that's why I just really want to encourage you. Like, you get to decide. You get to decide how much time you spend managing all of your stuff and caring for your house. And I don't think you realize how easy your house could be and how enjoyable it could be to manage if you didn't have so much stuff in it. And so would we be willing to take that risk? And again, we build up confidence as we go. But man, I would just, I'd hate for any of us to get further down the path and be like, darn it, I really wish I had done that sooner, right? So I really want that for you. But again, that's why we stick together. So there's a link in the description if you want to, not too late to join the 5 days to an organized Christmas workshop. You just pop in your email address. You're going to get an email back, like just with all the video workshops all laid out, the printable. It is super easy. That was very important to me, that it was really easy. All right. Well, I do want to take a little time just to answer your questions too now around any of this stuff. So if you're joining us live, if you want to put in the comments, we put a question mark in front of it. It makes it a little bit easier for me to pick out. So Rosie says, our 4th child was born with a rare genetic condition. And in the midst of learning to care for him, I find myself bizarrely wanting to hang on to things. What is going on in my brain? Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, Rosie. I mean, scarcity mindset is real. And when life feels out of control in some areas, then we can want to try and gain control in other areas. And so it might feel good to your brain to know that you like, because you're kind of in a like would be in like a survival mindset, then that you have the stuff around you that you would need to survive. And so I think it is important to recognize that anytime we're feeling like overextended, going through, I mean, certainly something like that with a sick child, caring for sick parents, aging parents, having other kids with extra needs, a really stressful work situation, difficult relationship dynamics, that often in those times, we don't trust ourselves to make decluttering decisions because we feel a little scattered, overwhelmed, anxious. And then so now to like sit down and be like, okay, I'm gonna decide to let go of perfectly good things. And again, I'm trying to predict the future. Am I gonna need it or not? Am I gonna regret this? So we're taking our brains already feeling kind of stressed and overwhelmed. And we're like, yeah, let's add this in now. But this is such a double-edged sword because we know in seasons like that we would do better in a highly simplified area. So one of the best tools we have, if you're just not really trusting yourself with decision making right now, or feeling like, oh, but I just kind of want to cling to things right now, is to use a time will tell bin. And so we literally just pack stuff up, put it in, put a date on it, and just time test it, set it aside, see if we actually miss it, if we reach for it. And that then we do get to enjoy some of the benefits of simplifying a space without having to stress so much if we made the right decision or not. Yeah, how do we get past the I will need it in the future of decluttering? So again, that's where I think we have to start looking objectively, and that's why I say look at the data. What is the data telling me? It's telling me I have not used it, I have not missed it, especially if you're finding that you forgot something was there. You like open a cabinet, you're like, "Oh, right, I forgot I had those." That is very important data. That means you could have gotten rid of it a long time ago and not missed it at all, right? And so we have to make it more objective. We can't just go by our feelings like, oh, but it's cute. Oh, but I like it. Oh, we have to look at the data. And so that's where these rules come in. If I have not used it in the past year, okay, I'm going to let it go. The minimalists have the 2020 rule. If I could replace it for under $20 and in 20 minutes of effort, meaning it's not rare or one of a kind, then I'm going to let it go if I haven't been using it. And we start with things that don't feel as risky, like linens, decor, holiday serving dishes, holiday placemats. So things that you're like, yeah, if I got rid of them and I like, maybe there would be an instance where I could need it again in the future, like I'm not going to be so hard on myself about it. What's a tip to narrow down our goals to simplify the holiday hustle? One baby step if our bandwidth is super low. Yeah, I'm glad you asked that, Michelle. So we in the organized Christmas workshop, we actually started on day 1 with 5 set it and forget it activities, and I was like, if you do nothing else, if you do these things, like this will already set your holidays up for success. So it was like creating a holiday uniform, setting a repeating meal plan, setting set gifts, and also how to opt out of gift exchanges that aren't important, setting up our wrapping station. I'm spacing what the 5th one is. But again, if you download or if you go to the workshop, we have all of those there. And so that would be like the number one place. And again, we have to remember that if we are feeling stressed, anxious, overwhelmed right now, that means our brain is like rerunning and rerunning and we're ruminating on things. We're like, oh my goodness, right? And so the cure for that is activity. It's some sort of action that gets our brain out of the rumination and into action. Because when we are ruminating on things, whether it's about the holidays or, when we replay conversations in our head, like, oh, why didn't I say this or that? It's because our brain is trying to solve it. And so if you are feeling anxious about the holidays right now, your brain is trying to solve that. And so what do? We do an action. And that's where I wanted to lay out very clearly like, okay, we have low bandwidth. I just have a little bit of energy. What are the high impact things that I could do right now to take a little bit of action that is going to bring relief to my brain? They can't be hard or complicated things, right? And that's what those first 5 set it and forget it tasks were. So I absolutely recommend starting there. Day 1 of the workshop, the first 15 minutes, that's what it is. If you watch nothing else or do nothing else, it's right there for you. But again, when we're finding ourselves ruminating, we got to take some kind of action. Like literally just tidy up your kitchen counters. Spend 5 minutes, doing the dishes. It's amazing how that switches our brain into a more optimistic problem-solving mode instead of continuing to just rerun the same things. Faith says, I try to involve my kids in decluttering regularly, but lately they've really been just wanting to keep nearly everything. How can I best help them get over this hurdle? So, definitely time will tell bins work awesome with kids. And that's what we did with our youngest Gage. He was our treasure collector. And so he had treasure bins and then we would have a time will tell bin. And it's the treasure bins, like you can keep anything that fits inside, right? So kids do really well with limits and boundaries. You can keep all the Lego creations that fit on this shelf or on the top of your dresser. The rest we're going to pack away for now. And we could rotate them out or just, we pack them away and then they get forgotten about. But they do really well with limits. So how can I put some kind of limit around it? And a big one too with kids is I really try to like encourage parents, like, we don't want stuff on their floor, their bedroom floors. Like, again, we always talk about floor first because it's very unsettling for us to have stuff on the floor. And so, even if their rooms are kind of messy, they struggle to keep them up. If we could have the rule that every night when we go to bed, the floor is picked up. And again, I talk about this all the time, but my favorite go to line is if there is stuff on the floor, whether it's in the living room or in their bedroom, if you pick it up, you can keep it. If I pick it up, I keep it. And why this is so powerful is because it tells you, it gives you as the parent very valuable data. Do they still have a value for it? Because if it is on the living room floor and you say, you pick it up, you keep it, I pick it up, I keep it, and they're like, meh. And you're like, what? That's your brand new Lego you just got for your birthday, right? And they're like, meh. And so you pick it up, you take it away. Now, if it's inexpensive stuff like dollar store, that kind of stuff, I just throw it away. Whatever, piece of artwork, gone. But if it's something more expensive, like I kind of like time test it myself. So I might put it in my bedroom or a cabinet or somewhere. They don't get it, but just so I can see, were they just having an off day or like, do they really not want it? And if they don't come back asking for it, I like that is very good data to me. They have lost value for it. And so often as parents, we have more value for the stuff than they do. They're telling you, Mom, I don't give a crap about that anymore. And we're still just like, oh, but it's your favorite. You just got it for your birthday. Oh, so and so gave it to you. You made it. You spent hours making that. And they're like, Mom, I don't care. What do I have to tell you? If I'm not willing to bend over and pick it up, like I don't care about it anymore. We're like, but wait, right? Now, I like to just set it aside for a little bit until we really practice this and they know I'm serious about it, because once in a while they'll come back and be like, Mom, okay, I really did want it. Or Mom, I didn't think you were seriously going to like take it away from me. Like in the past, Mom, I just kind of, look a little sad and you give it back to me. Right. So we have to hold the line with it. So once in a while they'll come back and be like, okay, you can earn it back. Like, do this or that, go load the dishwasher, unload it, whatever. Right. And then you can earn it back. They have to know we're serious about it. But 9 out of 10 10 times, they don't care. So we donate it, throw it away, and it's win-win because we don't have all this extra stuff cluttering up that the kids don't have a value for, but we think that they should. Sue says, I lost my husband 3 months ago and I'm struggling at getting rid of his things, but I really want to declutter and downsize. Do you have any advice? Oh, Sue, yeah, 3 months is not very long, right? And so, I'm trying to think through, like, we have a really dear friend in our membership community, Marilyn. It's been 4 years now since she lost her husband, but she's been in our group a long time and we've gone through this together. So it's very important that you do it when you're ready, but also look for the easy stuff because often when we've lost someone, there are things that they weren't attached to, they weren't that special. You don't look at them so much and think of them. And so not all stuff is created equal. So look for the easier stuff, but don't push it too fast either. Also, you could just box some stuff up, make sure you label it, but you don't have to donate it right away either. So box it up, give it a little time, and then see, like, okay, yeah, no, I do feel good about letting that stuff go. But often when we've lost someone, it goes in layers of stuff, kind of the onion layer again with their things, the lesser important stuff down to the more important stuff. And I would really recommend the book Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff by Matt Paxton, because he talks about curating a legacy list for people that were important to us. And so when we've lost someone important, if we could think about like a legacy list for them, like what are the most special things, what things like really represented who they are, either they were special to them, it's special to me, or it reminds me of them. And if I think about curating a legacy list for them, and again, there's Matt goes into detail of this in his book Keep the Memories, Lose the Stuff, but sometimes when we start there by making this special collection of things, knowing that that is safe and protected and complete, or it's there, then it makes it a lot easier to let the other stuff go, because I very much feel like I am honoring them. I have things to remember them by, the most important things, and then it becomes easier to let the other stuff go too. Any advice to cluttering kids' art craft supplies? Yes. I think this is a huge mindset shift, is that we can have very creative kids without having any craft supplies. We don't need craft supplies for kids to be creative. Kids are innately creative, and kids are happiest when they are creating. They're most content and at peace when they are creating, whether they're creating like an art project or they're just creative play and using their imagination. And so as parents, we want to set the stage for creativity. And what is so confusing in this world we live in is there are all these things to buy and fill this stage with, but the kids don't need it, right? It's so easy to acquire craft supplies and kits and all these things. And even now toys, Montessori toys and open-ended toys and all this, they don't need hardly any of it. With our kids, I gave them free access to the recycling and cardboard boxes, masking tape, markers, and scissors. And they could create for hours. And I hated managing craft supplies. And I love crafty stuff, but it's such a mess. And when I could actually step back and realize that the craft supplies weren't making it that much better, it wasn't enough of a payoff to manage all of these sequins and pipe cleaners and glitter and feathers, blah. Like, and that I didn't have to do all that. So I would time test it. I would pack a bunch of that stuff up, set it aside. But the biggest gift we could give to kids is open space, and space for them to use their imagination and for them to learn how to do this on their own, because many of our kids have now become reliant on us to occupy their time and tell them what to do and how to do it and to set up things and stuff for them. And so we let them learn how to play on their own and to use their imagination and to get into creative play. We create very simple things for them, and then you are going to have the happiest, most content kids. And then it's also shown too that they're smarter and they have better social skills and they get better mood regulation. They're better able to say no to things and to social pressures. Like, it is everything we want for our child. It comes through creative play. And again, it's very easy for us to set the stage. Well, it's not easy. It's simple to set the stage for this. It's not easy because we have all this stuff being sold to us all the time, and we have filled up their bedrooms and toy rooms and everything with all these toys that they don't even need or care about. And so it's simple to set the stage, but it's become more complicated. And so we want to clear out all the excess and just let them use their imaginations. Man, your kids are going to be so happy. And it's so win-win, because now we have the freedom and the time to do the things we need to do too, without us feeling like the burden is on us to occupy them. Oh, Christine, Christiane says, when I was little, my mom threw my dollhouse in a trash can where she knew I'd see it. She'd warned me she would throw my toys away if I didn't tidy up my room. The message got through. Yeah, I heard one time as parents that the way we build trust with kids and for our kids to feel like they can trust us while they're growing up and later in life is for our yes to mean yes and our no to mean no. And so often, I mean, we're doing it out of kindness that we give them so many chances and, put on your shoes or you're not going. And then they don't put on their shoes and then they're still going. Right. And so I fully understand, like, I fully understand how we get here. But like we can reset at any time. And for our yes to mean yes and our no to mean no. And when I say, if I pick it up, I keep it, I keep it. There can be a little smidgen of grace in there, but mostly they have to know that what we say we're going to follow through with. But here's what's also cool about that. Like, over this last year and a half, I mean, the joke was kind of like, oh, well, while mom's going through the divorce, we kind of get whatever we want. And I was buying things I wouldn't normally buy. They were spending way more time on the iPad than ever before and devices and all of this. And man, I got to earlier this year and I'm like, well, I've royally messed up my kids. But through the summer, we were totally able to get back on track with it. And in the book Simplicity Parenting by Kim John Payne, he'll say 2 weeks to retrain kids' brains if they've really gotten into devices and shows and iPads and all of that. 2 weeks to reset. Okay, that's not so bad, right? So we haven't ruined our kids. It's nothing we can't undo. But I think there is a point where we have to draw a line in the sand and say, like, okay, here's what I'm committing to moving forward. And can I tell you something? It is a whole lot easier when your house is decluttered and simplified. When we're taking on these things that take extra emotional bandwidth and fortitude, being in a highly simplified environment, so much easier. So, like, I get why we do what we do. And honestly, that year I spent really decluttering our house, my kids watched a ton of TV. They were on Netflix all the time and they were young, their developing brains were just taking in Netflix because I was just like, I got to just see if this is going to be the solution. And so they watched a lot of TV while I was decluttering, right? And then after that, though, I didn't need to use the TV to babysit them anymore for me because I just had to have a break because they learned how to play, they learned how to be creative. I had more mental fortitude because my environment was so highly simplified. And so keep focusing on simplifying your house. And so many of these things just start to fall in place. And what was a struggle in the past really isn't much of a struggle anymore. And of course, we have our membership community. If you just need more support in this area, again, like when I say we have to stick together, like we actually really, like, we do have to stick together. The world is not sending us these messages right now, right? But keep decluttering your house, and it does free up the bandwidth, but also gives us the confidence to be able to enforce these things that we really want to as parents. Man, it goes so quick, doesn't it? Adeline's getting her license soon, and I'm just like, what? I know. I mean, we have been doing this for 7 years, right? 8 years. Like, you've seen them grow up, right? And it's just like, wait a second, what? Like, what's going on here? And it's exciting, but it's also like, like I'm losing her, right? Like, So, anyways, but keep simplifying, keep decluttering, and it is easier to stick to these things that we really hope to. Thoughts on how to phrase my need to declutter to others. I feel like my mother and mother-in-law don't relate to my overwhelm. They can handle high inventory. Yeah, they can handle high inventory. 3 kids and anxious about Christmas influx of stuff. So 2 things there. Let's separate out the influx of stuff from just the like explaining to others. If you don't think you can genuinely, like, that they're genuinely and interested, like we were talking about earlier about your point of view and why you're doing this, um, I wouldn't waste my breath explaining it to them. Like, unless you think they're really like wanting to support you and understand, I probably wouldn't spend a lot of time trying to bring them along on the journey. They may not understand, and that's okay. Now, as far as the influx of stuff, and I talked about this in the Organized Christmas Workshop too, what I have learned over the last 10 years is that there are 2 type of people when it comes to gift giving. There are those who want to know, they want your opinion, they care if you've been simplifying and you don't want your house filled up with a bunch of stuff. They're interested in the fact that you're learning more and you realize kids don't need so much stuff. They don't need so many gifts at Christmas, right? So we have these people that like genuinely want to know, and they say like, hey, what can I get Corbin for Christmas? And I can say Play-Doh and bubble bath, and they're like on it, right? And then we have the people who, no matter how well you phrase the text message or how early you start in the season or how much you try to express to them how much they love experiences and going to the zoo and wouldn't it be so cool if you got them a zoo pass for Christmas, they don't care. And they want to give the gift, I think, kind of out of selfish motivations, if I were to be judgy, because isn't it so fun to give a cool Christmas gift to a kid and see them go crazy over it and they rip it open and they're like, this is so cool, right? And what's so confusing to these people is that the kids give them the reaction, right? But the relative isn't around for a day later when the kid is already over it and not even playing with it. And so the relative got the reaction. They're like, I'm the coolest grandparent ever. And like, look at me. Sorry, mom. You don't actually know. See, they didn't want Play Doh and bubble bath, right? Look at, I got them the, light up, sings, dances, all the thing. And they think it's so great. And they think I'm super cool now. Wow. Good thing I didn't let, you talk me out of that. And they're just going to do what they're going to do. And so two different types of people. And it's fine because I am not going to change. I've never, 10 years, I've not figured out a way to change this person, right? So it is what it is. So, but I get to decide, right? And after Christmas, when the influx of stuff has come in, we do a declutter together and we practice this year over year. We talked a lot about it in the workshop, like how it gets a little bit better each year. But my kids know now, like we just declutter after Christmas. And sometimes we're getting rid of old stuff. Sometimes we're getting rid of brand new things that just came in that we already know aren't things that are going to stand the test of time, right? And I get to decide if those things stay in my house or when they move out. Now, I take the kids into consideration, obviously, right? But ultimately I decide what stays and what goes. And so I mean, we don't even get a lot of toys anymore, honestly, but like I'd gotten to the point where I did not worry about it. Birthdays, Christmas, whatever. When things came in, no one else could ruin my house and the work that I had done, and I knew I got to decide ultimately what stays and goes. So you get to take some of that control back. I don't worry so much. Again, I try to do my best to communicate ahead of time. Hey, could you give this to the kids? Hey, they're really into this right now. Hey, could you give these consumables? Oh, they would love to do this experience with you. And some listen, some don't. But I don't worry anymore about anyone wrecking my house or the influx because we practice it and we have systems now. For how about this, Gagey? If you come and say hi quick, then yes, you can have that. Can I show your note? Because you did a really good job writing it out. No? Okay. Or yes?
Yeah.
All right. Can you say hi real quick?
Hi.
How old are you now, Gage?
11.
11. What? This was the note that he just put up. Good job. Can I have ice cream? Did you have lunch?
Yeah.
Okay. Then yes, you can. Okay. Awesome. Your handwriting looks very nice, Gage. Good job. That's awesome. Yes, see, before you know it, they're gonna be writing notes and passing them to you while you're visiting with your friends, right? So 11 already, right? Time goes so fast. Like it goes so fast. So yeah, I think the bigger concern we should have is not getting our house decluttered, not worrying so much about making a mistake. Man, I can look back now and count on one hand maybe the things that I don't even want to say that I regret getting rid of because I don't. That any collateral damage that happened up until this point, I could not care less about because the benefits have been so good. And so I think the bigger thing we should worry about is not making a mistake decluttering. It's not getting our house decluttered. So did you have a question too? Corbin, can you come say hi quick too? I know, it's okay. Do you want to, Corbin, buddy, will you say hi quick? Because our friends noticed on our cleaning video where you put those knobs on and how good you did with that. You're really good at that stuff, aren't you? Yeah. So thank you. I really appreciated it. You're super helpful. How old are you now?
12.
Almost 13. Super handy. I really appreciate it. All right. I love you.
Me too.
All right. I'm just winding up. So, all right. Yeah, it's awesome, but man, it does go fast, doesn't it? So, all right. Well, let's keep decluttering. Let's stick together because it does just keep getting better and better. And please allow me to help you to get Christmas dialed in too. My mom, like, she's like, I'm so stressed about Christmas. I'm like, she was like, can we just skip over Christmas? I'm like, what? I'm actually finally kind of looking forward to Christmas this year. Now you want to skip over? I'm like, no, mom, no, we got a system. We got a plan. Like, well, it's going to be good. So I have to send her the workshop now too. gonna go print out the planner for her. It's good. We've got a plan. It's gonna be okay. All right. Well, I'm so grateful for you. I am glad that we get to do this together because it does make it a little bit easier. I'm sorry when we have snarky people in our context. And I'm sorry that when they don't want to understand and they are not willing to take the time to understand, it just is what it is, right? So, anyways, yeah, so we'll stick together. But I love you. I hope you have a really good day, and I will see you again soon.